In today's video lesson, we're going to look at the hierarchical organization within living organisms. And that sounds very complicated, and what it really means is how are things organized from the simple to the complex in these living things. When we first look at this organization, we go from very simple. So the basic building block of all matter is the atom. Within biological organization, we start that hierarchy of organization with the cell, which is the basic functional unit of life. And so we know that cells have very diverse structures. We see here the neuron with its very long extending processes to deliver electrical impulses all over the body. We see the egg cell with its structure suited to the function that it has to nourish and grow embryo and fetus, and to the rigid structure of the plant cell that gives support to the tissues of the plant. So these cells are very diverse. We have over 250 cell types in the body, and they all are shaped and structured in a way to perform their various functions. If we have a group of cells that work together to perform a specific function, we call that a tissue. In our human body, there are four main types of tissues that our cells are organized into. The first is the muscle tissue, and those are long cell bundles. They contain special proteins called actin and myosin, and we use those proteins for contraction. This tissue is necessary for movement, and we have various types of muscle tissue. We have your heart muscle that coordinates to beat rhythmically. We have your skeletal muscle that allows your legs and arms to move. And we have smooth muscle, which is a special type of muscle and structure of the tissue that is involved in things like your stomach contractions and your uterus contractions, and important for various functions throughout those different systems. We also have connective tissue. In this tissue, various cell types are held together in a matrix, and that matrix can be liquid, solid, or gel. These tissues tend to play a role in support and insulation in the body, and they include things like your bone, your tendons, your blood, your cartilage, and your fat stores. All of those are examples of connective tissue. Thirdly, we have epithelial tissue, and those cells are very tightly packed. So if you think that these are the cells that are giving us protection, you want those cells to be packed tightly in thin sheets. They cover the surfaces of our body and line our internal organs. So if you think of something like your skin, which is important for protection of your inner systems, it also prevents dehydration and water loss. Those are your epithelial tissues. And fourthly, we have our nerve tissue. Those are long cells with various extending branches. They conduct electrical impulses, they coordinate body functions, they take care of your sensory functions, and that of course would include tissue in your brain, spinal cord, and various nerves. So you should be familiar with those four types of human body tissues and be able to describe them. If you take a look physically what they look like, you see you can have the connective tissue here. Again, these are like your bones and blood and tendons and cartilage. You have your epithelial tissue very tightly packed. Again, protection, support, think of your skin. And then you have this very organized muscle tissue, and again these are groups of cells working together with special proteins to allow contraction. And then you've got your nervous tissue, which is made up of those special neuron cells with those long processes that can deliver electrical signals throughout the body. Plants also have tissues and organization within their structures. So in plants there are three tissues. They're kind of analogous to the human body tissues. You have dermal tissues. Those cover the outer surface of the plant, so you can kind of link that to like the epidermal tissue in our bodies. That dermal tissue is important for water absorption, for waterproofing of the plant to prevent water vapor from escaping, for protection for the inner tissues of the plant itself. We also have vascular tissue in the plants, and those are the conducting materials within the plant that allow the plant to transport water and dissolve sugars from various different parts. So the specialized vascular tissue that transports water is called xylem. Xylem are actually hollow tubes. They're not actually living tissue. They're actually formed after the tissue dies off. So xylem transports water. Phloem is another specialized vascular tissue that transports dissolved sugars. Unlike xylem, that's actually living tissue. and specialized to transport the products of photosynthesis through the plant. The third kind of tissue in plants are the ground tissues, and those are any tissues other than the dermal or vascular tissue. They're throughout the plant. They're used for storage. They're used for support. They contain chloroplasts, so they're carrying out photosynthesis. If we take a look in the structure of the plant where these tissues are located, you would have that dermal tissue on the outer surface. This would be kind of a cross section through plant tissues. You would have ground tissue, those long kind of extended cells here. These are palisade cells. They would contain chloroplasts. They would carry out photosynthesis, and they're underneath that dermal tissue, which would be the protective layer. Part of that dermal tissue would also have a waxy substance that would prevent water loss. That's called cutin. And you also have the spongy tissue in here. A lot of gaps you'll notice in the cross section here, and that's important for gas exchange and movement of gases through the leaves especially. And then you have the third type of tissue, which is your vascular, and this is that long tube in here that would be used for transporting substances throughout the plant. So we have our cells as our basic functional units of life. Those cells organize into tissues, and if we have different tissues working together to perform complex functions within the body, we have organs. So again, you can have both animal organs and plant organs. In this case, you're taking a look at the human stomach. And if you look at that stomach and we did a cross section and cut through, you can see there's various types of tissue. We've got this smooth muscle tissue that's important for contracting the stomach during digestion, moving the food around, increasing the mixture of the food with the acids in the stomach to break it down. We have some connective tissue providing support. We have nervous tissue, so the brain and the nervous system is sending signals to the stomach, helping with the digestive process as well and encouraging us to eat when we're hungry. We've got epithelial tissue, again, surrounding the internal organs, and then there's a good supply of blood through the vessels lining the digestive system as well to carry the nutrients throughout the body. In your plant, you've got various tissues working together. You've got the leaf, various tissues working together to form organs like the leaf, the flower, and the stem. The stem provides support. Within that, you'll have transport of substances from the roots. The roots are water-gathering organs and dissolve minerals as well. They anchor the plant in the soil. The flowers provide a reproductive structure, so reproduction is taking place in tissues within the flower. And again, of course, the leaf is playing that predominant role with photosynthesis, allowing that plant to make its own food, trapping the sunlight, energy from the sunlight, combining that with carbon dioxide and producing some glucose that'll be stored in the plant. After the organ level of organization, if you have various organs working together to perform vital functions within the organism, then you're having organ system level of hierarchy. So in this animal system, if you take a look, what you're seeing here is one of the systems we're going to study later on, and that's the digestive system. It's only one of 11 different systems in the body. Various textbooks will list the systems in a sort of different format, but usually it's about 11 systems in the human body. Later on, you're going to take a look at each of those systems. This particular system groups together various organs like your stomach, your esophagus, your small and large intestine, the rectum, as well as accessory organs like the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas, and they work together to digest your food, release your nutrients, so that all the cells in your body can benefit from the nutrients that are necessary for them to perform functions. In the plant, you have two different organ systems working together. You have what we call the shoot system and the root system. And what you'll see in the shoot system is that it's composed of the leaf, the stem, and the flowers. Generally, it's the parts above the ground. Those are important for photosynthesis. They're important for plant reproduction. And then you have the system that's below the ground, the root system. And again, that's going to anchor that plant. It's going to absorb water and minerals. It's going to store food. And those are the predominant organ systems that are at work in plants. So when you go from cell to tissue to organ system, when you have these multiple organ systems working together, like I said, in the human body, there's around 11 different systems working together, then you have the functioning organism. And we'll find out through the course of this section of the unit that these organ systems are interacting with each other. They're definitely not working alone. They're communicating with each other. Each organ system depends on the others for proper functioning. And you have to have those organ systems working together to get survival in the organism. So the functioning of the whole organism depends on this hierarchy of organization. The interconnectedness of the systems is very important. We want to highlight that as we go through. So as you were watching this video and filling out the worksheet, you'll notice that the homework asks you to go and research all the different systems of the body. What I would like you to do is just list the different systems of the body, tell me some key organs that are involved in each system, and then briefly explain what the overall function is for the survival of the organism. So this is the hierarchy of organization, and I hope that helps you understand how organisms are put together.